Hey everybody, this is Mrs. Anderson, and we are working in Master Math Mentor Section 5, and Master Math Mentor 5, which is our algebraic limits, but we're going to do Section 4 of our classwork right now. And this is the last portion we're going to get to when we have this 0 over 0 situation happening, and it's called an indeterminate form. Okay, so there we go, and we have indeterminate right there. So when we have 0 over 0, we're going to call that indeterminate. And we absolutely can never write this as equals 0 over 0. So if you think that's about to happen, you want to break up your limits to show that separately. And you're going to do that when we get to L'Hopital's rule or theorem, but that doesn't come for a little bit. Okay, so we're going to, again, show this and some things we can do to solve our problems. Okay, so the first one right here is this 0, okay, so I'm going to just start by saying the limit as x approaches 0 of sine x, and I would hopefully know that the sine of 0 is 0, okay, and then I'm going to take, the limit as x approaches 0 of x, which is 0. Now, when we get to later on, we're going to then move this towards L'Hopital's rule, or theorem, okay? But we don't know that yet. In fact, we're not going to know that for quite a while, okay? So you don't need to put this part, we just show that it's 0 over 0. But really, the key thing here is that it's 1. It's going to equal 1 every single time. That's what's so fabulous about it. You need to 1000% memorize this rule, okay? You will see this come back on tests of just this question, okay? So memorize, memorize, and memorize. Highlight it, do whatever you need to do. Same thing right here. I'm going to put this in as the limit as x approaches 0 of e to the 0 minus 1. So 1 minus 1 equals 0. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay? And then I have the limit as x approaches 0 of x squared minus x. 0 minus 0 equals 0. So again, that's an indeterminate form. No factoring can be done. I mean, sure, I could take out x, but that doesn't get me anywhere. Okay? Later on, again, you're going to be working off to get L'Hopital's theorem. Okay? But for now, you just need to memorize that that value is negative 1. And that's all I want you to take away from that. Okay? Now, let's talk about this guy. He is going to be super, super important. And because the amount of work that it's going to take me to show this well, I'm actually going to go over to a different piece of paper just to make sure that you can really see what's going to happen, because I want it to be really clear for you. Okay? This is going to cover a lot of algebra review that we've maybe forgotten. Okay? So we are in 4C. And I have the limit as x approaches 0 of x plus 1 minus 1 over x. Now, if I just drop this in, visually I can see that square root of 1 is 1, so that'll be 0 on top and a 0 on the bottom. So I know I need to do something else, okay? So you can, and really should, again, because when we get to L'Hopital's theorem, we're going to need to. I'm going to break this up, and I'm going to get the square root of 1 minus 1, which is 0. And again, the bottom, and that's going to be 0. So I'm back to a 0 over 0 situation. So therefore, we're going to multiply by the conjugate. Okay. Now when we read this, we feel like it's a curse word, and it's going to feel like a bad word when we're working it. We're going to get super frustrated. This is really rationalizing the denominator, which we taught you in geometry. Okay, so you've seen rationalizing the denominator, but this time we're going to rationalize the numerator, which is also a skill that will come back to you in other classes in college. Okay, so we really want to make sure we're holding on to this one. So we take our value, and we're going to start with our limit again. Limit as x approaches 0 of the square root of x plus 1 minus 1 over x. And this is the key piece. This is the only thing you need to change. So we're going to multiply by x plus 1 outside, and we have to do the same thing on the bottom. Just like that. That's the conjugate. So all I did was multiply by the same thing with a plus, and then I did it to the bottom too. Okay? Remember, whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Well, now I'm going to FOIL. Okay? So when I FOIL these first two items right here, squaring a square root gives me just x plus 1. This is the difference of two squares. So when I do the outside, I have a positive square root of x plus 1. And when I do the inside, I have a negative square root of x plus 1. And then negative 1 times 1 is minus 1. So what you're hopefully seeing is when I do a difference of two squares, the middle terms are going to drop out every time, which just gives me the two end terms. Then down here, and it's really important, let's keep that in parentheses because sometimes there's some tricks that we can do. Okay. 1 minus 1 is 0, so I have an x on top. I have an x on the bottom. And notice, by keeping that in parentheses, I can now cross out my x's because they're being multiplied into that parentheses. So that's going to be 1 over the square root of x plus 1 plus 1. So when I put this in, a 0, I'm going to have a 1 plus 1, which is 2. So the limit as x approaches 0 of the square root of x plus 1 minus 1 over x equals 1 over 2. All right, so it requires paper. Please don't try to do this stuff in your head. You will only get frustrated, and it's not worth it. It's so much easier to just step it out on paper, okay? And then we only have a few more sections left of these notes. So take a break, go get a drink, stretch your legs, and then come on back. Best of luck.